S is for Samuel, M is for Mbraye, but I was actually Christian Samuel Mbraye Korti. But right from childhood, most people just took to calling me SM, and it's become me. I'm an architect by profession. I'm a father of 6. So that's SM basically. I grew up and through School of Architecture, I came to understand that God is the master architect, and for some of us, He birthed in us some bit of His creativity, and that after He's created the world, that there are going to be needs of man, and people like us would, through this skill, provide, be it enclosures for accommodation, for offices, for whatever purpose. So basically that's my kind of thinking, that as a person created in the image of God with a certain skill to create as well, we will be putting together all the buildings and the like that man would need for their daily existence. Oh, Mandy, you're going to break my heart. You know, sincerely, the best works I've done, some of the things I've been most proud of, they haven't seen daylight. That's why I've said you're going to break my heart. I mean, there's so many really exciting things that we've worked on from my office that I've just thought, I wish this could be built, that people would see this. And unfortunately, many of those ones haven't been built. Right, but for those which have been built, I love something called the Anastasias. It's a residence I did for some good family friends of ours at Airport Hills. It's quite cute. What I love about it is that these friends wanted something similar to my own residence, but their land size was pretty small, and it brought on a challenge of how you're going to provide all of that on quite a limited space. And I love the results that we got, that we changed terrain, we put something that seemed to actually have space around it on an otherwise very tight land. And when you walk into the spaces itself, that nowhere felt too tight or too small. I loved that home. There's a home we did for another friend of ours, Frida, at East Legon. It was something they had started many years ago and abandoned. And I love the turnaround of it. It looks nothing like what it was before. The challenges that we had, the time challenge constraints itself, budget constraints, and then how it came out looking so exciting. And particularly that when you walk in there, it feels like her home. Many years ago, one of my favorite projects was, again, something I did for one very good friend of mine. She's called Christy. We did a home that just looked different. I love putting in things that you own. It's not like another person's place. Yeah. It still is the sky. I love to do these early morning walks, and I found out profoundly that every morning as I step out to take a walk, the skies look different. And I used to marvel and say that what God is this, that every day there's a new pattern, there's a new design that He puts up above our heads. And for me, that alone, I kept saying to myself that, so if I have 100 people that want a 5-bedroom house or 4-bedroom house, I should be able to create unique 100 options for all of them. So the sky, the clouds amaze me. And sometimes when the hills as well, and even sometimes trees, when you look closely at a tree, it has probably so many things that we overlook, that the roots of it deeply buried is like foundation. that the stem of it is like, let's say, a tower building or something, and the branches of it, that it stands and carries so much weight, and the wind all around it, and it still withstand. For me, it tells me something that in my designs as well, that there's a very basic principle that if you want to go so high as a building, that your roots need to also, or the foundations, go deep, or maybe spreads. I pick a lot of inspiration from nature, actually. I've loved the aspects of architecture which has been more of like design. I think that is basically my person, designing and then ensuring that it gets built the way I designed it. I love engaging clients in teasing out what their dreams are, because sometimes a client has a vision but they're unable to put it in such clear words. But I've done this for quite some years now. I'm gradually getting interested in looking more to help to formulate policies that will help this industry. I think that for many of us, we've kept ourselves to the aspect of just designing and having them built, but there's so much chaos in the industry, and some of us, after all the years of experience, will have to move on to the next level to bring the experience into lobbying for the right policies to regulate the industry. So it's not an area I've been very active in the past, but I look to, as I head towards retirement, I look to participate more in regulations and lobbying for policies that will help tomorrow's practice of architecture be much better than I experienced. I also see that for many years of my practice, I've been more the kind, and this is very common with architects, like we sit back and enjoy the fact that people know about your business, so people call you and then give you businesses to do. But it is not expansive enough. It is almost to say you are trusting that people who haven't been trained with your eye can identify projects and then come to you and ask you to do the design. I think what I want to do in the coming years will be to identify the projects myself and then put together the proposal for it, take it up through the financing and all of those things and make them happen. Because with the kind of training we have and with the experience I've had, sometimes as you drive through the streets, you can see open spaces, you can see abandoned structures, and your eye can tell you what it can be if it receives the right design touch. Now, these are not things which people who are not trained as architects can easily identify. So in the coming years, and I urge other architects and other designers that instead of us to sit back to wait for what we call our clients to come to us and say, do this for me and commission us, maybe we can take it up the next step where we see the opportunity, we create what we think should be the vision, and then we walk it through to make it happen. I think we'll build a more beautiful Ghana if we start to do things like that. I think it's already competing. It hasn't made the strong impact that it should be. We've been very inward, but there are new things coming up. The African free trade conversation, for example. A lot of people, neighboring countries, will be looking at getting services like architecture from Ghana. I've had the opportunity to do a few things in Bamako, in Ouagadougou, in Lagos. So I think that it will become more common that we can take our skill to other countries around. I think there's an opportunity there. We haven't dared enough. We've been content in playing within our local sphere. So it's something that we ought to begin to look at. Yeah. Truly, we need to master our terrain, and we need to market what we're doing here to the point that it begins to look attractive to others outside. If there is some kind of local materials and the way we are going to use them in such innovative manner, and the things that we do, if it is well advertised, then suddenly if you went to Gambia or to another place, they possibly have seen things that you've done and they want similar things to be done on their soil as well. So what we're doing here itself, it needs to be well documented and advertised. Then it begins to be an appeal to other nations and the like. And it's possibly something, I don't want to use the word cultural, but there's been a lot of contentment in just playing home. You know, many families, if you said that I'm going to another country to work, it's looked as if you are stepping into the deep ocean. Are you going to be safe? Will you be okay? Will you be? But I think that we need to start to encourage our children to understand that their skill and their practice is not limited to Ghana. You know, that we can take it anywhere and be successful.